Hello guys, welcome back to TierSpec TV. We've made amazing progress on our Defender build recently with the full powertrain now sitting in the chassis, but there are some issues that we need to address. Parts that didn't fit, things that we got wrong, and also some things we just forgot to mention. One of the fantastic things about making these videos is all the feedback we get in the comment section. It is extremely helpful, and we had so much feedback in the last couple of videos about mostly things that we got wrong, but I appreciate that it's not done in a critical way. It is purely about helping us, and we really appreciate it, so please keep them coming. And we couldn't address any of that in the second of the two videos that we did, so the one where we installed the powertrain, because we hadn't uploaded the first one at that point, so hadn't received the comments. But now that we've got those two videos out, we can actually look back and see what we've done wrong. And I think most of it was addressing basically how we put the stuff down, put together down here, the swivel housing and the axle and so on. So there is something we need to look into about that. I know I can't remember things off the top of my head now, but there was something about, I think, either parts we'd missed or done in the wrong order or something like that. But also, I know the preload for the swivel as well was also done incorrectly, because we were supposed to do it without the seal that goes in there. So we will have to redo that at some point, unfortunately. And then not something that was mentioned in the comments, but I did discover whilst going through the parts that I have already ordered from YRM to make sure that I didn't order something that I had already ordered. I discovered something called washer for swivel housing to axle. And then I stopped and went, we didn't fit those. And I have a bag right here, which unfortunately, as with some of the things from YRM, doesn't actually have a name on it, it just has the part number. So it is just a generic bag with a number on it. With some washers in, which is why I didn't pick up on that at all until I read later that I had bought these. But these are washers that go on the other side of these 12-point bolts here that attach the swivel ball to the axle, which is really annoying because those bolts are a pain to get in and out there. Just for some reason, they're incredibly tight. I don't know why. And then on top of that, the only thing that I have that actually fits in there is a ratchet spanner. One, because it's the amount of room you have here to the ball, but also because of this special 12-point head that you have. And I did, after last time, go and buy a socket that fits these in the hope that it would fit in there so I can use something else to get more leverage, but I can't even get the socket onto those bolts right there, let alone with the tool on top. So that's really annoying. We'll have to take those out again to put these washers in. I don't know if that's the most critical thing in the world, but I want to do it properly, and I've got the washers, so yeah, we may as well do that. Something else that I think a couple of you picked up on is brakes, because there are no brakes down there. And of course, we are going to fit brakes at some point, and I have got the discs already, so we could have put those on. My only concern was, and I don't know if this is unfounded, but maybe somebody can help us out in the comments here, was whether, because it's going to be some time before this actually drives under its own power and those brakes get used, I was a little bit worried about whether they would develop any kind of surfaced corrosion, you know, like what you normally get on a road car when it just sits for a while. You know, if you don't drive a car, even just for a week, you'll start seeing surface rust on it, which I know is normal. It scrapes off once you start driving. But obviously, this isn't going to drive for a while. We don't know exactly when yet we will get to that point. So I don't want to put the brakes on if they're just going to get all rusty again. Like I said, I don't know if that's an unfounded fear, but the most important thing was getting wheels on this so we could move it around and just have this foundation to build up on, and then we can put the brakes on later. So maybe it was just silly and we should have just put the brakes on. I don't know. But we left them off for the time being because obviously they're not needed at this moment. And just a quick mention of something we did not show last time as well. So in the first video where we were building the rolling chassis, when you saw us installing the shocks, you would have seen them without these rubber boots, because what happened when we filmed and put them on the first time, we did them, well, without those. And then I went inside to look for something and just stumbled across these in a box and realized that, yeah, we were meant to put these on. So these are basically a sort of optional extra. They don't come with the shocks, but you can buy these extra, these rubber boots to cover up the strut in there to stop mud and salt and crap and whatever getting in there, of course. And they're not expensive. I think they were like 20 quid or something. And considering the cost of these shocks, I don't know why you wouldn't go for those, at least in an environment like what we live in, which is not the most friendly for Land Rovers. So we did take these off and put the boots on, front and back on the shocks. Just didn't get that on camera. Then there is the matter of the gearbox mount. If you watched the previous video, you will have seen that we used this galvanized one from YRM, which did not line up quite right. The other side of the transfer case is basically pressing up against that side of the chassis, which is not how it should be. There should be a bit more clearance, and it's also not sitting correctly on the opposite mount on the other side. And this is the mount that we pulled off, so the original factory mount that my Defender came with, and you can see that it does not match up with this one. The YRM part is quite a bit bigger and enough to cause that mismatch on the other side. Now, I was quite puzzled by this because on YRM's website, they make it pretty clear which part is for which model year of Defender. It always says like 98 to 06 or 07 to 16, etc. So you know, okay, this is the TD5 one, this is the Puma one, etc. So I ordered the part that was listed as the TD5 one, 98 to 06, I think they call it on their website, which was this. So the fact that it doesn't fit is quite puzzling. And I did contact YRM about this, and long story short, they effectively admitted that this is not the correct part, so I assume that the listing on their website was wrong, because they then sent out, for free, as a warranty replacement, this one. So you can see that this matches this part right here. Just in a galvanized form. So on the website, this one is the one that is listed as the 07 to 16, so the Puma part. So unless my Defender is some kind of bizarre Frankenstein setup with a Puma mounting, then I'm pretty sure the YRM website was incorrect, but props to YRM, they sent me out the correct part for free of charge, so we have the correct one right here. Unfortunately, I did go to the expense of getting this one powder coated. I mean, I was having a lot of other things powder coated at the same time, so it's not like I had just this part done. So it probably doesn't make that much difference, but then we have this one, which is currently the bare metal. I'm probably not going to bother getting it painted, powder coated, whatever. I'll just leave it as is. It doesn't matter all that much. It is just a gearbox bracket, and I'm sure that'll last forever in that state. But it did also get me thinking about not always rushing out to get new stuff all the time and thinking more about what you can reuse, because it does prevent stuff like this happening, that you know you're going to have the right part from the get-go. Because to be honest, I know this has quite a bit of surface rust on it, looks pretty beaten up, but when you consider that's done 26, 27 years and 300,000 kilometers in not the most friendly environment, shall we say, you know, we're talking salt, mud, etc., then that doesn't look too bad. You could quite easily clean that up and repaint it or get it powder coated, and that will be perfectly usable for another 26, 27 years, no problem. So yes, it's easy to get carried away with going out and buying shiny new parts all the time. I'm definitely guilty of that, especially when there's companies like YRM that do basically every sort of mount, bracket, fixing, whatever that you could ever need. But you have to, one, you know, think about cost. You can very easily get carried away, and if you have no budget, you know, obviously fine, go for it. I do have a budget, and the sooner I can afford to pay for things, or the cheaper things are, the sooner we can get this Defender done. And also there's the matter of, if you replace every single part, is it really the same Defender? It's the classic triggers broom. Any Brits watching will know what I'm talking about, where if you replace everything, you know, is it really the same car anymore? And obviously I still want this Defender to be my Defender. And yes, I know this chassis is not the same chassis, but, you know, a lot of it, the powertrain, axles, the heart and soul of the Defender, you could say, is still the same. So yeah, it was a bit of an annoying thing, but like I said, probably quite valuable, because it did make me think, okay, maybe I could think about reusing more stuff than just running out and buying parts. However, I am going to wait with swapping this one out, even though we have the new mount down there, because there's also a heat shield that I need to get. Having just talked about, you know, not always buying new stuff, the heat shield for the gearbox mount was not in great shape, and it's very cheap to replace. And I need to do a big order from Paddocks anyway, where I can get a new one of those. So I'm just going to wait till I have the new heat shield, and then we will swap this around, because it's fine for now. It's not quite touching, but it is very, very close. over on that side. So it can stay like this, and then we will swap this over when we have the new bits. And then another thing for anyone down in the comments who's very knowledgeable about this stuff, I did want to know if anybody knows where I can get new bolts for attaching into the gearbox or transfer here, because that's something that I've been struggling to find online, and I am missing one at the moment. So although these bolts can be reused, I am missing a bolt and I don't know where it's gone, so I might need to try and source new bolts for that. Another thing that needs rectifying is the panhard bracket that we have right here. So I ordered the fixing kit from YRM that goes up to 2000, which would have been the correct kit if we were working on my original chassis, because my Defender is from 99. However, this one seems to be modeled after, I guess, the post-2000 one. I'm a bit confused by all that, because I know that the TD5 did change. They had a sort of update, facelift, it's a Defender, but you know what I mean, an update from 01 or 02, I think it was, where they went from the 10p to 15p as it is known. Mine being a 99 is a very early 10p TD5. So I don't know why the panhard changed back then, when I guess it would have still been a 10p. You would have thought it would change with the 15p. Anyway, I'm getting into the details of this that we don't need to get into right now. But basically, I had to get a 2000 onwards kit instead, which is actually, I think one of the bolts is the same as this one. It's one very long bolt and one just slightly shorter bolt. So yes, the chassis is a kind of 2000 onwards model. Don't know if you can even get like a 99 TD5 chassis if you can go that specific, but anyway, that's something that we can fit right now. So that's the panhard bracket now in. This bolt actually fits nicely in here now. With the pre-2000 kit, the bolt was coming out to like here or something like that, because this piece here is quite a bit longer on the old chassis. I don't know why it was updated for the post-2000 onwards, but I'm sure someone in the comments will be able to shed some light on that. I'd be quite curious to know why Land Rover changed that, but yeah, fits now. And I also wasn't quite sure how many of these tie bar washers were needed, because for some reason I had 2. And sometimes on the YRM website, when you order parts, it might say you will need 10 of these or whatever, if you're, if it's an item that you buy individually, they sometimes tell you how many of that thing you need. But I just checked, and on the product page for these, it didn't say that. It didn't say that you need a certain number of them, and I had 2 for some reason. But I think it's just the one here, because I had one either side before, and there wasn't enough thread really for this nut. It looked wrong. So I've taken the inner one off, because I don't think that's meant to be there. I think it's just the outer one. When I've been looking at some pictures online, and I can just see this one, I think, on most examples. So that's what I've done. I've just put the one big washer here for this nut, and it seems to fit more nicely now as well. And this also flush now, because before it wasn't sitting quite flush with the chassis up here. But we can have a go at the panhard bar now in here also. I did see somebody commenting on one of the previous videos that that's also quite awkward to get in. But let's give it a go and see what happens. It doesn't seem to be a particularly tight fit on that side. Actually quite loose, if anything. We could also use a jack, actually, to press that one up. There we go. And I am also pushing the. Oh, there we go. That was satisfying. It just slipped in. Yeah, it's not completely lined up. Oh, come on. That was a bit of a pain, so thank you very much to the comment that either foreshadowed or jinxed this in one of the previous videos, but took quite a lot of fiddling to get that all in, adjusting. I spent a lot of time trying to, because that side just sort of went straight in, so I just spent a lot of time, trying to correct that side to get the holes to line up, and in the end I went, well, okay, what if we do it the other way around, took this one out, and then of course that one went straight in. and then that one wouldn't go straight in, but I was more easily able to get it to line up, actually using the jack in the end, and that trick of kind of adjusting it that way and pushing it upwards. Managed to get it in relatively easily, but still, yeah, took some tweaking to get those holes lined up. That was a bit of a pain. Anyway, the next job is these little, I think they're called swivel brake pipe brackets or something like that, but I basically just forgot or neglected to order these in one of the YRM orders I did for all the axle bits, because this is supposed to go up here. Oh, it's going to lose focus now, isn't it? I'll just put that away. It's supposed to go under these two bolts, where you have the swivel pin, and I think it goes like this, and then there is this little tab here. And I believe, hang on, very awkward to hold a camera and do this at the same time. 1 second. So I believe that is supposed to tuck in under this tab, going through those bolts, and then you have this here available for the brake line, which will go down to the caliper once that's on. Because it's either that, or it goes that way around, which I don't think makes any sense, because then I don't know what this does. Anyway, looking at pictures online, I think it goes that way, so let's try. Don't want to over tighten these, so I'm just finishing them off with the hand tool instead. My brain and body are completely overheating. It is extremely warm out here, so I will try to make this quick. But I know today may not have been as interesting in terms of the progress we made compared to the last couple of videos where it was like really noticeable big steps. But I wanted to get these small little jobs done before we get into the next sort of major milestone. So I thought, why not make a video along with it and address some of the feedback from last time and things we forgot to talk about. But now I'm going to go and do another order from Paddocks, basically for all of the powertrain related stuff, so we can give this a really big service and make sure it is in tip-top shape for several 100,000 kilometers more than what it has already done, and for the many next years still to come. So next time it'll be big steps once again, I think, and then it'll be hopefully getting the bulkhead on once I've got that painted. So I cannot wait to have some bodywork onto this. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next video.